I'm Captain Logan.
Oh, Vince!
And it's time once again
to recommend things.
Vince, I'm seeing in my periphery more Ghostbusters.
That's right, but really it's less about this item itself and more about what can be done. It's a craft project type of thing.
Oh, it's another one of those. Cool.
So
you know, Vince, we could just give you a whole new segment. Crafting with Vince.
The funny thing is I had my wife make this for me.
Oh, okay. So you're going to recommend it, but you're going to say, I don't have any idea how in the world you make this.
I don't know how you sew.
I don't know how you sew either. Yeah.
I know how to reap things, but
is this a part? No, I got it. I'm laughing in here. But is that one of those like really kind of male stereotypes that you and I are kind of embodying a little bit right now?
That's probably true.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
we can't sew.
I can stitch two things together, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an even stitch. All I can do is reinforce stuff.
You know, we should do a whole show on the things that you and I can't do.
you can fill a book with things he doesn't know.
Things we can't do. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So, here's what it is. It's a pillow that's made out of a t-shirt.
Oh, that's neat.
What happened was, I had this idea because I had a t-shirt that the neck was stretched out. It was pretty much stretched out the moment I put it on.
Wait, is this that t-shirt?
Yep. The one Ghostbusters t-shirt I never wore because the neck fell down to here.
Yeah, but you wore it once.
Yeah, I wore it a few times.
Or did you get another one that looked just like it? Because nope. I just remember. Wow,
I did wear it a few times.
So I've seen this before.
Yeah, you've seen it on my chest.
This one.
And this shirt, I think it came from. Oh man, T-shirt hell, is that a thing?
Yeah.
It came from one of those sites that prides itself in making T-shirts that are risque or kind of dark in nature. And
it apparently offends the powers that be.
So if you could see it, it says "Don't cross the streams," and it has the Ghostbusters standing at urinals. So, and in fact, if you
guys enjoy, that's about as risque as it gets on the show.
In fact, if you look, Egon is looking for spores, molds, and fungus, and Peter is looking at Winston. So. That's about as risque as it gets on this.
That's about as risque as it gets on our channel, yeah.
And my buddy Terrell, he said, "You need this shirt." And I said, "Yes, I do. That's really funny." And he gave this to me for Christmas one year. And I was like, I can't just throw it away or donate it or something.
That is Terrell style too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He has a T-shirt that says, "I'd rather be snorting coke off of prostitutes behind." We'll say that instead of what it actually says.
Does he really?
He does.
Okay, it just got more risque, or
it did. Indeed. I mean, so my wife had a pillow that was sitting in her craft room, and their craft closet really. It's in the guest room, and I saw this pillow and I went, "That is like perfect." I went and got the T-shirt and I said, "Look at that! It fits perfectly." And I said, "Elena, that's my wife. Would you please sew me a pillowcase, please?" And she said, "All right." So she sewed this pillowcase, and. Yep, I kind of wish she would have put a zipper on just in case it gets soiled in some way. We could wash it, but she did not. So
you could probably wash the whole pillow, though.
It's true. We can do that. So now,
especially that small pillows are washable. You can put them in the washing machine.
I've found that craft projects are kind of fun, and or not kind of fun, but you end up with something that's unique or interesting. Not a lot of people would have this as a pillow.
In other words, we're getting old.
Yep. And recently, I've made a necklace. No joke.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
I found a 25-cent dog tag at a bin.
Did you get your crafting merit badge?
Craftily. And I put, maybe I'll recommend that in future dates, how to do that. All right. What do you have to recommend today, Cap?
Is that it?
That's it. That's everything. I recommend making pillows out of T-shirts or finding interesting things to do with T-shirts. Like if you're done with a T-shirt, you could put it in a record frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, or just A-frame, I guess.
I'm kind of glad that I helped you fill that out a little bit, you know?
Yep, that's all it is. Just make T-shirts out of pillows, and this T-shirt specifically worked very well for this pillow. Look for this pillow, although I have no idea where you can find this pillow. I have the itchiest nose in the world right now.
That's just some random pillow, Vince. I think that's pretty generic. I think people could probably find a pillow.
I think we got it at Pier 1.
Okay.
And she's had it for years and years.
Moving right along. Today I recommend the first half of a book. This is Monopoly, the world's most famous game and how it got that way, Philip E. Urbains. This guy is a game developer himself. He is... he's actually connected intimately to the history of Monopoly himself. It's kind of interesting. There's places while you're reading this where this guy's like, okay, now I cannot help but interject myself in this place because I actually am important, and it's kind of fun. The reason I say I recommend the first half is because, as you can see with where my bookmark is, it's about how far I've gotten through this book so far. So I probably recommend the second half too. I'm liking it so far. I just haven't finished it yet. But anyway, I'm just in the middle of this and really enjoying it, and thought I would mention it real quick. This is, as I said, the history of Monopoly, but sort of like the book that I recommended a few weeks ago. These are the voyages about the first season of the original series. This is not just about the history of Monopoly. It's the history of America at large through the lens of the history of this board game. And so you sort of I learned a whole lot about American television circa the mid-60s reading that book about the original series. I'm learning a lot here about economics at the turn of the century, and about capitalism versus socialism, and the prevailing theories on pros and cons of each at the time, right around Industrial Revolution, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's all really fascinating because Monopoly was originally created as, it was called the landlord's game. It was kind of a different thing. It was more involved and seemed frankly quite a bit more dull. And it took forever before it was sold. This is one of those kind of underdog stories of the thing that nobody cared about for decades, and then it turned into the most popular thing ever. And what Vince, you're kind of intimidating in that today, really. Anyway. Vincidious, yeah. So anyway, Monopoly was originally a game that was intended to kind of show people the evils of capitalism, and it was, here's why monopolies are bad. And so it was supposed to kind of, it had kind of this agenda, and it was supposed to make people not like the idea of monopolies, while I guess they're getting beat by everybody else on the board. What I kind of wonder about it is it makes me think, okay, well, whoever wins, if you play the game one time, whoever wins is yeah, monopolies are awesome.
as long as I own them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of interesting how the game can work as kind of like a kind of a cautionary tale against capitalism, but then you can also you see it the other direction as kind of what can be fun about that system, maybe, sort of. And of course, it's a little bit easier now, and was after a while, because of course monopolies are theoretically supposed to be illegal. So it's not even it's not even exactly the way it works now. But anyway, a lot of interesting ideas between different people within the history of this, just for and against the American capitalistic system. And it's refreshing me a lot on World War I stuff, World War II stuff. Right now I'm in around the late 50s, early 60s, but this dates all the way back to the mid to late 1800s. So it's kind of a nice crash course refresher of early American history, or kind of middle American history. And anyway, then one of the really interesting bits, and I kind of just got past this, is World War II, and how Monopoly games were used to help prisoners of war escape, which was a thing I didn't know about. And they would the Germans would let American prisoners of war have board games and things so that they wouldn't be idle and get bored and think of ways to escape. So they were trying to keep them occupied. So they were trying to keep them occupied while they were occupying them. And they would, so what would happen is, people would smuggle these games to prisoners of war, and inside there'd be maps, and there'd be real money underneath the play money, and all of this stuff was kept secret until the 80s.
That's awesome.
It wasn't until the mid-80s that anybody knew about it. I thought that was really interesting. And then also during Cold War era, the Russians, just after World War II, the Russians banned Monopoly because they didn't like what it was about. And again, ironic that it was originally kind of an that was kind of anti-capitalism, but they didn't like it because they thought that it was too pro-capitalism, and they didn't want people thinking about Western ways of thinking, and so they, American, British ways of thinking, and so anyway, I thought that was all really kind of interesting, but yeah, it's. Like sometimes the prose is kind of a little bit dry, but overall it's really interesting. I think it gets sometimes for my taste a little too detailed, but it's what it's for. I mean, it is supposed to be kind of a complete history of this game, but this guy is, of course, so into game making and so interested in the history of games that there's all this kind of minutia that I have a hard time not skipping over. As I'm reading, where he'll tell you every little detail, like every stage of this game, and I didn't even talk about all the Parker Brothers stuff and how long it took them to finally buy it, but all that's really interesting too. And because like the lady that invented it was trying to sell the Landlords game to them forever, and it wasn't until like the main brother who ran the company was like in his, I think, 70s or 80s that they finally bought it, and or maybe he was dead already. I can't remember. It all kind of blends together because I've read a lot of this over a couple days. But anyway, that's this book. So anyway, I definitely recommend it. I think it's because it's Son recommends, and I like I said, I'll read the rest of it. There's some good pictures of some of like the early games. Because like I said, this is where I was going to go a second ago. He kind of gives you every stage of it, so he'll show you pictures of like early versions, and there's some where they're like homemade, and then here's a guy who got a hold of the lady who made it, her game, and made his own version, and then you see like how the different the different locations on the board, the different properties finally actually got there and ended up where they were, and all of that stuff. But like sometimes the stages of it can get a little bit dull, where it's like yeah, I don't need to know like every single little tiny minute detail about
kind of like if you're stuck in jail.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so that's this book, and that's what I recommend.
And I recommend pillows.
Good night, Vince.
Good night, Cap.
That shoulder's going to get sore in about an hour, probably. Well, anyway, thanks as always for watching, everybody. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And we'll see you next time. Yeah.